Good morning, my magnificent ones. Sue Paulson here, your magnificence mentor. It's Friday again, and we're back with another episode of Tea with Sue. Here we are. It's the first weekend of June 2022. I'm just astonished at how quickly the time flies by. Whether I do anything with my days or not, the days are gone. The weeks just so so sometimes I think I need to speed up because life is speeding up. But today I want to talk about the benefits, the payoffs of the phrase sit and wait. So, you know how life can be a real struggle at times. There's a push-pull kind of force that is out there, especially when things are hard, especially when we're going through tough stuff. Maybe, so I can think of times when, let's take technology, for example. I was learning technology. It was a struggle. I wasn't born to computers, right? Computers, oh my goodness, I think I was already 35 when we got our first computer. So it was a scary, daunting kind of thing. And of course, because the technology changed so quickly, I just learned something after much diligent practice and focus. And then they changed the whole protocol, and then I'm back in learning mode again. It was a struggle. And I wonder sometimes, because we're taught to push through things and not give up and to just keep going and keep going and keep going, I wonder sometimes if we're creating more struggle in our lives than is absolutely necessary. Because when we encounter resistance, the tendency is to push through. And yet, sometimes waiting for the resistance to dissipate will make it easier to achieve what you wanted to achieve. And not only easier, but faster. So I'm all about easy these days. I've had my years of push, 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 struggle, struggle, struggle. I'm not sure I'm any farther ahead than if I had not gone through that whole thing. But what I've learned is that if things are not coming right in the moment as you wish them to be, sometimes it is so appropriate to just let it be, to just sit and wait. Wait for the storm to pass, wait for the universe to conspire and pull all the pieces together, because I'm a firm believer in divine timing, that when something is meant to be, it's right there in front of us. So there's no point then in, unless you really like the struggle. I mean, let's face it, when we start at the bottom in an endeavor and then we achieve things along the way, there's a particular satisfaction because it was so hard at the beginning. So I get that, and I like that. So with technology, well, I started knowing nothing, and it was a struggle because my brain seemed to not take in how this whole thing worked. But each time I was able to conquer that, each time I was able to achieve a new level of competence or feeling like, yeah, I can do this, then it was, I do a little victory dance because yes, yes, yes. But the struggle, if it's always a struggle, if we see no other way to get through than to just push, to force, to struggle and make it hard and feel as if it's hard, then I think we miss the joys of just allowing. So there's a big difference between that force and the power of allowing. So let me give you an example. So a few years ago, I was struggling mightily to complete a project for a client, and it just was not working. I was having difficulty. Of course, I was working on the computer, and I was having difficulty formatting something and making it work. It would not come together. Well, finally, I was just so frustrated. I thought, you know what? I'm going to get up out of this chair and I'm going to go have a bath. Well, my partner at the time said to me, well, aren't you going to finish that before you come to bed? Isn't your deadline tomorrow? And I said, yes, my deadline is tomorrow, but it's not working. So I'm just going to go and have a bath. And he was just kind of astonished that I would just leave this project right where it was and go do something entirely without finishing it. and bless his heart, I mean, he was one of these guys that just pushed through and pushed through and pushed through. And I went and had a bath, and I just relaxed, and I just let the bubbles just envelop me. And oh, it was such a relief, because I was stiff and sore from sitting in that chair for so long. And I just let all the frustrations go away. And I thought, well, I don't know how this is all going to come together, but I'm just going to enjoy the moment, enjoy my bath. So once I left the bath, I thought, all right, let me just take one more stab at this. Let me just sit down in my chair and see how things are now. Well, much to my surprise, my delight, my astonishment, everything that I had been struggling with just evaporated, and I was able to just type away and do whatever I had to do, finished up the project. Within 10 minutes, I was done. And I'm going, woo-woo. This was, not only was it a huge relief, because then I could meet my deadlines, but what a lesson in how I just said, okay, let that be. It'll do whatever it's going to do. But right now, I need to look after me. I'm going to switch my focus. I'm going to just not resist the fact that this is not coming together well enough. I'm just going to let it do what it's going to do. And it was interesting, my partner's reaction when he says, wow, because he had never experienced that before. He'd never experienced anybody just walking away from something and just letting it sit, and then going back and have it just, it was like a miracle to me that it just miraculously did what I needed it to do. And I was done. Well, of course, I've experienced this enough times in my life that now I'm beginning to really trust this. And when I feel that wall of resistance, then I step back rather than push forward. I step back maybe to have a little think and wonder about, I wonder why this isn't coming together quite the way I had wanted to. And so ideas are like that, right? So I do a lot of creative stuff in creating workshops and programs and wanting to pull information together when I'm writing a book. And so sometimes when my idea, there's a glimmer of an idea that's birthed, but it's not full blown yet. It's not all there. The pieces are, maybe there's a little one over here and a little one over here and a little one over there. And so the visual that I have for me is I throw them into my little slow cooker on the back of my, so it's like putting ingredients into the slow cooker on your stove. And you just let things simmer. And so it's kind of like a pot boiling thing. Ideas just kind of simmer and bubble away. And I leave it and I go on to other things, because what I find is that given the right amount of time, and I honestly don't know what the right amount of time is when I do this. I just know that if I'm patient enough, and I want to tell you, I'm not the most patient person. So this is a little harder for me, but enough time and patience goes by, and then there's the idea fully formed. I'm going, there it is. And then I go into action, right? I grab my pen or I get on the computer. I do whatever I need to do to flesh that out, to bring it into being. So taking it out of the pot and into the dish. Okay, ready to eat. Okay, so that's the strategy that, when I use it, works so well, rather than saying, I got to get this idea in my head. I got to think about this. This has got to come together. And it doesn't always, but maybe there's ideas coming from that higher source that we're all so connected with, that would just roll over and just bring it into your life easy peasy. So it's an interesting dance, because we're so used to, set your goals and work towards them so diligently. And I'm not saying that that's not a good thing. I've participated in that a lot, and I still work towards whatever it is that I want in my life. And I also know that taking time to stop and smell the flowers along the way, allowing myself a moment to breathe and just ease into it rather than just forge ahead, serves me so much more in so many ways. Excuse me. I got a little frog in my throat this morning. So that was really the message that I wanted to deliver today, was to help you look into your own way of doing things and way of being things, and do a little analysis about when a task or a journey or whatever feels really, really hard. What do you do in that process? And is there a way that you could make it easier, that you could smooth out the path so that it's not so rocky, or it's not so bumpy, or it's not so filled with potholes that you can trip and or fall into? What is it that you can do to allow, and here, this is a key word, allow, to allow the support and the help that you need to go through the journey? This is especially important when you face some kind of trauma or adversity. Something hits you smack, and maybe you don't have the resources to pick up and move through whatever it is that's right in front of you. Well, the desire to have that work out, the internal fire that says, okay, I'm going to get through this. I don't know how I'm going to get through it. I don't even know what I need to get through it, but I'm determined. I'm determined to keep kind of fanning the flame and fanning the flame. And when I hit a wall of resistance, whether it's my own internal resistance, because sometimes that's what it is. Sometimes I'm so fearful that then I move into overwhelm pretty quickly. So I'll give you a very recent example. A coach that I work with had proposed we'd had a session where I was struggling with how I want to put some projects together in my work, and how I was going to do that, and it wasn't sitting just right. So through his amazing questioning, we were able to work through and come up with a different twist on the original idea. And it made perfect sense to me. And I'm thinking, I can do that. I can combine the skills that I've had over the years in relation to this new idea, and really make something of it, really do the the work that I want to do in the world and put it out there in a beautiful way. So it was a great idea. And I get off the phone and I'm thinking, oh, wow, this is very cool. But it kind of scared me because I'm going, whoa, this is a lot bigger than what I thought initially. What am I going to do with this? So back it went into the little slow cooker in the back of my brain. I think I need to sit with this because I realized I was a little bit fearful. And if I allowed myself to be too scared, I wouldn't do anything about it. I would not. So there was the resistance. There was the wall of resistance. And I knew from experience that just fighting that fear, no, don't be fearful. It's wrong. No, you don't want to be scared. Blah, 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 blah. That wasn't going to cut it. That was not going to get me through that. So as I felt inspired, I would write about whatever it was that inspired me in that moment. Oh, here's a little piece of it. And I'd furiously write it down. And then I'd set it aside. And okay, not quite ready, not quite ready, not quite ready. And then yesterday, it felt right to take action and to create the PowerPoint slide, to begin the creation of the PowerPoint slides, because then I knew, all right, if I can put the words down in a way that I want to be able to put it out there, I'm good. So it's a process, right? And we need to know ourselves intimately so that when the resistance is our own, which, well, most of the time that's where the resistance is. It's in me. It's because I'm clinging to a belief that I've had that no longer serves, or I think there's a rule, oh no, I have to do it this way, when in fact, no, I'm the one who is in charge of how I do this. So it's to decide and to nurture yourself through that resistance. It's not about beating yourself up and saying, whoa, what's the matter with me that I'm so scared about this? Why can't I? And on and on. It's okay. So I soothe myself. Okay, Sue, you know that there's divine timing. And when everything lines up and comes into place, you'll be able to get it. It'll come. So be patient. Well, it was so interesting that this past week, all of the things that I had been struggling with for the last 2 or 3 weeks, I was having difficulty accessing the new portal for my app. I was struggling with computer issues that were not working for me, and I just roadblock after roadblock after roadblock, and I was kind of fed up. So I just left it. I thought, I'm not going to deal with that right now. It's too frustrating. I'm just going to let it be. And then it was as if the switch flipped this week, and all of a sudden, each one of these little niggling frustrations and concerns of mine disappeared because I was able to solve one after another, after another, after another, and make progress that I hadn't been able to make for a long, long time. So, was I relieved? You bet. Well, I don't think you're different than me in that regard. I am imagining that you struggle the same way that I do, and you have your own level of challenges. So nurture yourself through it. Have compassion. Go do something entirely different. Have a good belly laugh over whatever the world is frustrating you. Excuse me, or even a primal scream will help from time to time. So it's to feel the full effects of that. And then if you meet that resistance, or when you meet that resistance, to not push, not force it. Use the power that's inside of you to let it manifest when it's meant to, because it always comes right up when it's time. And so I've learned to trust that. I don't always trust it, but I've learned to trust it more and more and more and more and more. So I'm envisioning a day when I just trust it implicitly, and it's my new way of being. I'm not there yet. So always more to learn, right? So you know you can do this. You're magnificent enough. You deserve to have the best experience that life has to offer you. And the universe does have your back. I do believe implicitly, right? So begin to rely on that. And as it's appropriate, just sit and wait and watch what happens. If you're enjoying Tea with Sue, I invite you to subscribe to my channel. You can also download my free app, The Magnificence Mentor, from either the Google Play Store or the iTunes Store. And if you subscribe, which I encourage you to do, then there's content on there that all the Tea with Sue show up, and there's a bunch of other video content. There's articles and soon to be released a couple of new online courses that I'll have for you. In the meantime, have a glorious week, and we'll see you next Friday on Tea with Sue.